The shimmering obsidian walls of the Grand Praetorian Chamber reflected the strained faces of the Krill High Council. A hushed silence, thick with unspoken dread, hung in the air. For cycles, whispers of the unseen, the Whisperers, had circulated among the Krill. A species said to be from beyond the veil of known space, a people with technology that defied Krill comprehension. Now the whispers had solidified into terrifying reality. A single, sleek vessel, unlike any the Krill had ever encountered, had appeared at the edge of their territory, a dark omen etched against the celestial tapestry. Its presence was not an invasion, not yet, but a silent, unsettling declaration. Fear was a natural state for the Krill. Fear of the unknown, of the cosmic horrors that lurked in the inky blackness between stars, and of those who might exploit that fear. But the fear now gripping the Council was a primal one, a visceral unease born from the realization that they were no longer the apex predators of their corner of the galaxy. The Grand Praetor Xyler, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the chamber's dim light, cleared his throat, the sound echoing in the cavernous space. His mandibles twitched, a nervous habit that betrayed the turmoil within. The reports are consistent. Their vessel emits no identifiable energy signatures. Sensors register only a void. It is as if they are not truly there. He paused, his 6 eyes scanning the faces of the assembled counselors. Each was a veteran of countless galactic skirmishes, each a master of political maneuvering, but now they were simply afraid. Counselor Zalera, her voice a rasping whisper, broke the silence. "Have we attempted communication, probed their intentions?" Xyler shook his head. "Every transmission is met with nothing, no response, no counter-signals. It is as if the vessel is a deaf ear to our pleas." He turned to the chief strategist, Rixus, a grizzled veteran with battle scars etched into his carapace. "Strategist, what is your assessment?" Rixus shifted, his many legs clicking against the obsidian floor. "The vessel's origin is unknown. Its design is aberrant. The readings suggest energy manipulation unlike anything we've encountered. One could assume it's simply a scouting vessel, but it feels like a silent challenge." He tapped a claw against a holographic projection of the strange ship. "Their silence is the most unsettling aspect. It is a sign of immense power or of utter contempt." The chamber was plunged back into silence. The Krill, a species known for their ruthless pragmatism, were confronted with a paradox, a threat they could not understand, a danger they dared not provoke. This silence was more dangerous than any declaration of war. The silence was broken again, this time by the High Inquisitor, Varth. "Perhaps this unseen possesses technology beyond our comprehension. Perhaps their intentions are less than friendly. We should anticipate aggression, not assume it. Perhaps we should not wait for them to act, but to preempt." Varth's words were met with a wave of murmurs, a mixture of fear and wary anticipation. Preemptive strikes were not unheard of among the Krill, but they were a decision that carried immense weight, a gamble with the fate of their empire. Xyler considered Varth's words carefully. The High Inquisitor was known for his ruthlessness, his unwavering belief in Krill dominance. "And what course of action do you propose, High Inquisitor?" "A swift, decisive strike," Varth said, his voice cold and devoid of emotion. "Deploy the war fleets, surround their vessel. If they show hostility, destroy them. If they do not, make their silence speak our language, seize their technology, study them, dominate them before they have a chance to dominate us." The counselors exchanged nervous glances. The prospect of a preemptive strike was fraught with peril. What if this unseen species possessed weapons capable of wiping out the entire Krill civilization? But to do nothing was to invite oblivion. The debate raged for hours, a tapestry of fear, ambition, and political maneuvering. The counselors argued, debated, and schemed, each with their own agenda, their own fears, and their own vision for the future of the Krill Empire. Xyler, the Grand Praetor, struggled to maintain order, to guide the council towards a decision that would not only ensure the survival of his people, but also preserve the legacy of their empire. Finally, after a grueling session, a vote was called. The outcome was a tense tie. The decision, as always, fell to the Grand Praetor. Xyler hesitated, the weight of his empire pressing down on him. The fate of the Krill hung in the balance. He sighed, the sound barely audible in the vast chamber. "We shall observe. We shall await their next move. We shall prepare." He turned to Rixus. "Strategist, prepare for defense, deploy a defensive perimeter, and initiate secondary contact protocols. If they intend on war, let them see our strength. But if they are simply lost, we shall offer them safe passage." The decree was met with mixed reactions. Some counselors were relieved, others frustrated by the seemingly cautious response. But Xyler's decision was made, and the Krill Empire had taken its first steps toward an uncertain future. The silence of the unseen vessel remained a chilling enigma. Weeks passed, marked by tense anticipation. Krill warships, armed and ready, formed a defensive perimeter around the mysterious vessel. The chamber remained a place of hushed whispers and fearful deliberations. Then, a new signal was detected, a burst of energy emanating from the silent ship. But this was not the prelude to an attack. Instead, it was an invitation. The message, translated by Krill linguists, was simple, concise, and utterly baffling. It was an offer not of war but of contact. It spoke of a desire for understanding, for exchange. The Krill were stunned. This was not the action of a conquering species. This was cooperation. Xyler, ever the cautious leader, was deeply suspicious. He ordered a thorough analysis of the message. Was it a trick, a prelude to a devastating attack, or was it genuine? After what seemed like an eternity of agonizing scrutiny, the counselors finally reached a conclusion. The message was clean. It was, as far as they could determine, authentic. They decided to respond. The Krill Empire, for all its history of bloodshed, was willing to try diplomacy. The Grand Praetorian Chamber was once again filled with a sense of anticipation. The tension was palpable. The Krill, the self-proclaimed masters of their corner of the galaxy, were about to meet the unseen. The moment arrived. A section of the hull of the mysterious vessel opened, revealing a docking bay. A small craft, unlike anything the Krill had ever seen, emerged. It was sleek, angular, and inviting. The Krill watched with bated breath as it approached the docking port. A ramp extended, and from within, figures emerged. They were humans. They were unlike anything the Krill had ever imagined. They were bipedal, with soft skin and fragile limbs. They had round faces with features that appeared vulnerable. Their eyes, wide and expressive, held a hint of curiosity, of intelligence. The humans did not carry weapons. They did not exhibit any signs of hostility. They simply walked towards the Krill delegation, led by Xyler. The sight of the humans caused a ripple of confusion and apprehension in the chamber. It was nothing like what they expected. This race, they had thought, would be terrifying, ruthless, technologically superior. Instead, they were faced with beings that appeared fragile. The humans, in turn, seemed equally intrigued, their gazes sweeping across the cavernous chamber, observing the Krill with an open curiosity. They took in their alien forms, their multifaceted eyes, their powerful bodies. One of the humans, presumably their leader, stepped forward and spoke, their language translated by Krill technology. "Greetings, we are humans, we come in peace." The human's voice was calm, steady, and devoid of any hint of aggression. It was a stark contrast to the Krill's expectations. Xyler, still wary, gestured to the translator. "You speak of peace. Why have you remained silent? Why have you made no contact until now?" The human smiled, a gesture the Krill found strange and unsettling. "We were observing. We wanted to understand your culture, your intentions." "And what have you observed?" Xyler asked, his voice betraying a hint of his unease. The human leader's expression turned serious. "We have observed fear. We have observed a deep-seated distrust. We have observed a civilization grappling with its own internal demons." Xyler was taken aback. "And you judge us based on observation alone?" "No," the human replied. "We judge you based on potential. We believe that despite your fears, despite your history of aggression, you have the capacity for something more. We believe that you can embrace unity. We can show you this path." The words echoed in the chamber, their implications profound. The Krill, a species accustomed to power, to dominance, to the cold reality of galactic conflict, were being offered a different path, a new vision for the future. The human delegation spent what Krill would measure as several cycles explaining their origins. The Krill, in turn, were shocked by the narrative they had laid before them. Humans emerged from a single planet, a place known as Earth. They had not been forged by the cold fires of conflict, nor by the harsh lessons of conquest. Instead, they had, slowly, inexorably, learned to value cooperation over conflict. They had built their society on mutual understanding, on scientific exploration, and on a deep respect for all life. The Krill were incredulous. This seemed to be a weakness. How could such a civilization survive in the brutal expanse of the galaxy? The answer, the humans explained, lay in their fire. Not the fire of destruction, but the fire of passion, of innovation, of relentless curiosity. They possessed an unyielding desire to learn, to grow, to explore the boundaries of the known universe. They had developed a vast network of scientific and technological prowess, not for conquest, but for understanding, for betterment. Their technology was not built for domination. It was built for creation. Krill, accustomed to using technology as a weapon, found this concept alien and strange. But as they were shown examples of human technology, as they witnessed the capabilities of their ships, their weapons, and their scientific instruments, they slowly began to understand. The humans were not weak. They were different. They were incredibly powerful. They were not driven by fear or a lust for conquest. They were driven by a different kind of hunger, a hunger for knowledge, for progress, for connection. The human leader gestured to a holographic display that flickered to life, showing the vast expanse of the cosmos. We have traveled this galaxy for generations. We have encountered countless species. We have seen war. We have seen destruction. But we have also seen potential. We believe in the power of unity, the power of collaboration. We believe that together we can achieve something more. The Krill counselors were stunned by the revelation of human power. Their ships were superior, their weapons more advanced, their knowledge of the universe far greater than anything the Krill possessed. But that was not the most shocking aspect of their visit. The most startling revelation was their morality. The humans spoke of ethical frameworks, of a deep respect for all life, even those who might oppose them. Their technology was not deployed to exploit, but to uplift. They had no interest in conquest or domination. Their desire was simply to learn, to understand. The Krill's entire understanding of the galaxy was turned on its head. They had met a species that was powerful, not through brutality, but through a unique kind of kindness. They were both powerful and ethical. They were dangerous because they didn't need to dominate. They weren't afraid of death. They were afraid of not living. Xyler, after days of internal debate, finally made his decision. He addressed the council, his voice resonating through the chamber. We have witnessed the potential of humanity. We have seen their technology, their knowledge, their ethics. They are not our enemies. They are an opportunity to evolve. He turned to the human leader. We accept your offer. We are prepared to join you in the pursuit of a better galaxy. We will forge our own path together. The announcement was met with a mix of shock and cautious acceptance. Some counselors still harbored doubts, some still clung to their fear, but the majority recognized the truth. The Krill Empire could not face the future alone. They needed allies, they needed humanity. The alliance was forged, a pact of cooperation, of shared knowledge, and of mutual defense. The Krill and the humans, two vastly different species, now stood united, ready to face the challenges of the cosmos, ready to forge a new path for the galaxy. The Union's first task was to address the Krill Empire's primary threat, the looming shadow of the unseen. The Krill, with their history of conflict, had a deep understanding of strategy. The humans, with their ingenuity and ethical code, could devise new methods of defense. Together, they made a plan. They dispatched a team to the edge of Krill territory to once again observe the silent vessel. The humans came up with a method of investigation. First, they used a device that emitted a stream of signals with no distinct pattern. They waited. Nothing. Then they sent a message directly to the ship, asking if they were hostile. The reply was immediate. No. Humanity's second signal was another offer of alliance. The ship once again opened its cargo bays, signaling that it was time to make first contact. A team was assembled, including Krill and humans, to travel aboard the vessel. As they approached, an eerie sense of foreboding settled over the bridge. The vessel's interior was stark, almost desolate. The technology was unlike anything they had ever encountered, even after witnessing the human ships. It was as if the vessel itself was alive, breathing, pulsing with an unseen energy. The Krill, ever cautious, kept their weapons at the ready, wary of any potential ambush. The humans, however, maintained their calm, their curiosity guiding their actions. The team followed a corridor that seemed to stretch into the endless black, the air around them charged with an unknown energy. They reached a large chamber, the heart of the ship. In the center, a device. It was an orb of shimmering black energy. The humans stepped forward, approaching the orb with an unwavering curiosity. The Krill, still wary, hesitated. As the humans examined the device, they turned towards the team and said, "This is a gateway, a gate to beyond." Then a sudden, violent surge of energy erupted from the orb, engulfing the chamber in a blinding light. The humans and Krill, shielded by the technology of their ships, were protected. But when the light subsided, the orb was gone. Instead, there was a vast, swirling vortex of colors, a portal to somewhere else. A human stepped forward, their eyes filled with wonder. "The galaxy has always whispered of the unseen. We must be willing to journey into the black." The Krill were confused. The humans wanted to go through, to walk into the unknown. They could not understand this unbridled curiosity. But as Xyler had learned, the humans were not defined by fear, but by relentless innovation. He nodded his head and led the charge, venturing forth into the unknown. As they crossed through the portal, they found themselves in a place that defied all logic, a place of impossible geometry and surreal landscapes. The Krill were awestruck. The humans were delighted, but their exploration was cut short. A signal was detected, a message from an ancient, forgotten civilization, a species that had once flourished in this realm but had been consumed by the very forces they had sought to control. It was a warning, a desperate plea, a desperate warning. The message spoke of a cosmic threat, of an entity of unimaginable power that had been awakened by their presence, of a cataclysmic event that would reshape the galaxy. The Krill exchanged panicked glances. The humans, however, remained resolute. "We cannot turn back," the human leader declared, their voice echoing in the chamber. "We have a duty, we must understand, we must fight." Xyler, without hesitation, nodded. The Krill may have come from fear, but the humans had given him something more: courage and a chance to do the right thing. They would fight. They would fight not for territory, not for conquest, but for the future. They would fight to protect not just their own species, but all life in the galaxy. They would fight for the simple and enduring vision of unity. They would follow where the humans led, into the fires of war. The fight was brutal. The entity, the cosmic horror, was a force of destruction, a ravenous entity that fed on the energy of the universe, consuming everything in its path. Krill ships and human vessels, with their combined ingenuity and experience, formed a strategic defense around the monstrous, chaotic being. The battle was a dance of strategy and sacrifice, of tactical brilliance and unimaginable loss. The humans, with their empathy and innovative spirit, created new weapons and defenses. The Krill, with their battle-tested experience, guided the fleet through the chaos. Their combined power proved formidable. The entity's attacks were relentless, consuming entire fleets in seconds. Its power seemed inexhaustible. Yet the humans and Krill fought on, fueled by the unwavering belief in their alliance. The fight was going poorly, and the losses mounted. As the situation became even more dire, the humans decided to use one last strategy. A device was built, a weapon that could disrupt the entity's power, a weapon with the potential to inflict catastrophic damage, not just on the entity, but on the galaxy itself. The Krill were hesitant. The humans were willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. They could destroy this entity, but at the cost of countless lives, a decision so monumental that the weight nearly broke them. But they trusted the humans, their judgment, and their moral compass. They agreed. The weapon was deployed. Its power was unleashed. The cosmic horror was damaged, weakened, but not destroyed. The weapon's effects were far-reaching. The galaxy was scarred, but the entity was vanquished. The humans and Krill had won the battle. But at what cost? In the aftermath of the battle, the Krill and the humans surveyed the damage, a galaxy scarred by war, by loss, by unimaginable destruction. The sense of elation was muted, replaced by a profound sense of grief. The humans, even in victory, mourned the lives lost, the sacrifices made. Then a new signal emerged. It was not a call to war, not a threat, but a signal, a beacon of hope. From the ruins of the entity's realm, an ancient, forgotten megastructure was discovered, a relic of a civilization long gone. The structure held a message. The message, as the humans and Krill deciphered, was a warning, a directive, a call to the future. The humans, with their curiosity, were ecstatic. The Krill were apprehensive. But Xyler and the humans decided that they would explore, that they would investigate the megastructure. They boarded the ship and traveled to the forgotten ruins. The megastructure was a marvel, a testament to the ingenuity of a long-lost species. Within, they discovered a vault of knowledge, a wealth of technology, and a map to a new frontier. It was a frontier unlike any they had ever seen. The map showed a series of wormholes, pathways to the uncharted reaches of the cosmos. New worlds, new possibilities, new challenges. The future, the humans proclaimed, was not just in their galaxy, but beyond. The humans, with their innovative nature and their vision for the future, began preparations. They had the means to cross the void. The Krill, with their cautiousness and their need for a stable foundation, were reluctant. They had spent their lives dealing with a dangerous universe. How could they know the dangers beyond? The debate raged for cycles. The humans explained that this journey was not a path to dominion, but to understanding, to exploration, to unity. The Krill, through their alliance with the humans, came to understand. The humans were not afraid of the unknown, but fueled by it. They would learn, they would grow, they would protect. Xyler, his voice filled with emotion, addressed the council. The universe is vast, infinite. Our home is but a single grain of sand. We must embrace the unknown. We must journey into the void. Then humanity spoke with fire, its voice no longer in the chambers but across the stars. They would venture into the unknown. The Krill followed. Together, the Krill and the humans initiated their preparations. They modified their ships, built new vessels, and assembled a fleet, a vanguard to explore the uncharted territories of the cosmos. As the ships were prepared, the humans took a moment to reflect on the events that had transpired, a profound meditation on the journey that was about to begin. The Krill, in their own way, had come to understand humanity's true strength, not in their weapons, but in their spirit, in their unwavering belief in cooperation, in their relentless curiosity, and in their capacity for hope. The galaxy had spoken in fear, but humanity had spoken in fire. The fires of ingenuity, of compassion, of a future unwritten. As the ships prepared for their departure, the final emotional reflections were held. Xyler looked out at the assembled fleet, a tapestry of Krill and human vessels, a symbol of their unity, a testament to their alliance. A moment of silence was held, a silent prayer, a moment of acknowledgement. The past and all that it held, and the future with all its boundless potential. The ships, prepared and primed, began their journey. The engines roared to life, and the vessels, with the combined Krill and human forces, began to depart. They ventured forth into the abyss, leaving behind the only home they had ever known, and they began their journey into the unknown. They entered the abyss, knowing that their lives, their cultures, and their future were forever changed. The galaxy had spoken in fear. Humanity had spoken in fire, and the universe, vast and indifferent, waited to bear witness to what came next.